And this is being downloaded everywhere. This is what I found out the crop circles are. They communicate with symbols, and they put blocks of information into one symbol. It's all mind to mind. The subconscious mind recognizes the symbol, and it knows the information is downloaded. You don't have to be in the crop circles. All you have to do is see the symbol. And this is also downloading information. They gave me an example. They said, you communicate so slowly, you humans. You put one word behind the next word to make a sentence, to make a paragraph. They can communicate with entire concepts all at one time. The concepts are in that symbol. The example they gave me was like the word Christmas, Xmas. He said, what does that Xmas mean to you? People say Christmas, but it means much more than that. You start thinking about it, you have green and red, Christmas trees, nativity scene, wise men, Jesus, Santa Claus, silver bells. You can fill pages full of what is in that one word. That's what they mean. Whole concepts of information are passed instantaneously into the mind, and that's the way they communicate. So that is how they are communicating with us, through symbols. Some of the important information that they gave me that we needed to understand was about the seeding of the planet Earth. And a lot of people have trouble with this because they think that, where is God in this whole picture? And are they playing God? But they say this is the way life has been done throughout the universe forever. Life is never allowed to just simply spontaneously develop. That if it did, it would be very chaotic. And to produce a thinking, intelligent human being would have taken millions more years if it was happening by normal evolution than it would have taken. And it would still not have got to the point we are now. And they said they do this because they create life on other planets because this is the way they were created, by what they call the archaic ones. The ones from the very beginning have been doing this forever. And they said there are councils over all of this. There's definitely rules and regulations that govern everything. And the councils have the history books of all of the planets and all the records. So when a planet reaches the point that it can support life, that's a very momentous time in the history of that planet. At that time, the planet is given its life charter, and they set about trying to decide what will grow there. And they have cells from everywhere. This is part of what the sampling that goes on, that people don't understand, the testing. They are accumulating cells, sperm, ova. Doesn't matter where they get them. It all goes into the massive laboratory banks in the laboratory craft. And I asked them one time, where did the cells come from that created life on Earth? They said it doesn't matter because it's mixtures. They put everything together to see what will grow there, what will grow in the primeval soup of the chemicals of whatever place it is. So they experiment to see what will take a foothold. And they begin with single-celled organisms. And they hope that it will take hold and begin to clump together to form a multi-celled organism. They said you would be surprised what you could have looked like. But imagine the amount of time this would take. It'd be eons of time as all of this happened. In that time, they're coming back from time to check on everything. It's really like Star Trek. They have their assignments, and they go and check on different planets and the different stages of development, and then give it a little nudge here and there. But by the time it developed animals, then it was time to decide which animal will we manipulate the DNA so it can become a thinking human being. This is the ultimate, is to become intelligent and be able to function. So they chose the ape because it had the greatest brain capacity, and also it had the hands. You would have to have hands to make tools, to build a civilization. So they chose that one, and they began to manipulate the DNA to eventually turn it into a human being. And they said, you will never find the missing link because there isn't any. It jumped generations so fast. And eventually it became developing. In my work, I have had people go back to lifetimes when all of this was happening, and they were half animal and half man as they went through the evolution. And imagine the patience of these people to be doing this over millions of years as it develops. As it began to develop and became a thinking human being, they would come and live among the people and give them what they needed next. Every culture in the world, every culture has the legend of the culture bringer. Someone who brings fire, who teaches them how to make corn. The Indians have the corn woman, teaches them how to plant. Every civilization has these legends. And in the legends, the culture bringer always comes from the sky or from across the ocean. And that is the legends. It was what they were teaching. And they would live among these people because they can live as long as they want. They can live hundreds and hundreds of years with these people helping them as they developed. So they began to be thought of as gods. And this came down to us with legends. So that's a lot of what has been happening. Nowadays, there's so many people in the world, they can't live among us to give us the next advancement we need. So it's put into the atmosphere. And anyone who can receive the idea will be the one that develops the next invention. You hear about people all over the world developing things at the same time. They don't care who invents it as long as it is invented in the time span that it's supposed to be. And that's the way it's done now. Well, this all sounded very good, but something happened to spoil the whole experiment. They call it the grand experiment because they said, let's give this beautiful planet a creature with intelligence and free will and see what he does with it. And I don't think they're very pleased with what we're doing with it. But the law of non-interference is very real. They cannot interfere in the development of the species. They have to just let us go along with whatever we're doing. And I asked them one time, well, when you give these things, corn, fire, how to plant, isn't that interference? They said, no, it's a gift. We give them to the people as a gift once. What they do with it is their own free will. And many times man has taken something and turned it into something negative, not what it was intended to be at all. I said, well, can't you just come back and tell them you're not doing it right? They said, no, because that is interference. They can give it to you one time. What you do with it is your own free will. After that, they have nothing to say about it. I think that's important. It does go along with the Star Trek idea of non-interference. But something happened when the species was developing. They said if it had happened when the species was fully developed, it wouldn't have caused as much problem. But the species was developing when a meteorite hit the Earth. The meteorite had bacteria on it that was unknown to the Earth, and it created disease for the first time. And the developing species couldn't handle it. So they were very upset about it because they knew for the first time their experiment would be limited. It would have disease and that it would die. This was not the way it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be live as long as you want like they do and have no disease. This meteorite brought the bacteria that the species were not compatible with. They went back to the council and said, now what do? Do we throw the whole thing out and start over again? Or do we let it continue to develop the way it's been developing? It was decided to allow it to continue to develop because so much time and effort had been put into it. not to keep it from happening. But they knew it would never be the perfect species it was supposed to be. The reason I'm telling you this is because it will explain the testing and the things that people find so negative, they don't understand. Now they are doing the testing on people because they're still trying to get us back to that perfect species we were supposed to be in the beginning. They're very concerned about the increase in cancer, about the effects of the environment and our food on the human body, and they know it's not helping the human body. So they do the constant testing, and many different generations. I've worked with people where the grandmother, the mother, everybody in the family have been part of this. Now, a lot of them don't know it consciously. They're following the generations and as their development. And they check them to see how the body is responding. And when they're doing this, they are also trying to find cures for these different diseases people have, and they're manipulating the DNA in the people's body so they can resist disease, and also they are extending our lifespan. So I don't find anything negative in any of this. And that would explain a lot of these things people see when they're on UFO, on the ships, is the different testings, and also explains the sperm, the ova, all of that. But they have our best interests at heart because they want us to be this perfect species. We are going into a wonderful time when the whole earth is going to change. And those who have been part of this will be the ones who move into the new dimension. The earth is changing its frequency and its vibration to move into an entirely different dimension. And the rest of these people who have been experimented on and upgraded, so to speak, will be the ones that go on with the new earth because they're the ones that can handle it. The other ones, their bodies can't. And they said the human species must not perish. We must have some survive. They're afraid we're going to blow up the earth. And they said that was the only time they would be allowed to interfere, is if we take it that far. But they want some of the species to be saved. And some people have told me, about they're here to take over the world, and I know I've heard some of the other speakers talk about the implants are to trigger them, to help them be like robots to take over the world. None of that is true at all. They said, why do people say we're here to take over the world? It's ours, it always has been. We can't do anything as bad to you as you do to yourself. So they're really afraid of us, our violence, and they're waiting for us to get out of this violence and get all of these wars and everything out of the picture. Then we can join with them. That's the idea of developing a species like this. They want us to join with them and do the same things they're doing, traveling in space, because they said we have curiosity and creativity that they think would be very important to the universe as it develops. So there's a whole lot more to this than people think. And I have not found the negativity. Once you find out why it's happening, it takes on a whole different look. You remove the human fear. And they're really very caring people, and they're doing a lot to help people. People have asked me if I had any contact with them. Only through the people I work with, and they're very personal. They have changed my diet. They've taken care of me and advised me on where to go and where not to go, so I consider them as friends. But they've asked me if I've seen them. I told them I want to work with them, but I don't want to see them. I guess I'm chicken. But I felt that I could be more objective as a reporter if I was not directly involved with everything that was going on. I've worked with thousands of people in my work, everywhere, all over the world. I could be more objective if I could stand back and view it. So they said if that's what I want, they would honor my wishes. I've had strange experiences, and I've seen strange lights and things occurring, but I just as soon not be in the middle of it. And I think that's the way it should be.